Good afternoon, 6-4 Owl parents. Mr. Hagedorn here with our weekly update. We will have no science this week update. Mr. O is currently in a meeting, and it doesn't look like he's going to be done in time. So if you have any questions about science, you can contact him. Next week, pretty normal week. On Tuesday, we are going to run a slightly different schedule. Track 1 starts your EOG testing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday next week. So Tuesday, we're just going to run the 8th grade schedule. All that means is our electives are in the morning, and we teach right after that up until 3 o'clock. So we'll just have electives first thing rather than last thing on Tuesday. Also, Monday the 27th, not next Monday, but the following Monday, we do not have school for Memorial Day. So other than that, normal 5-day week next week. Our EOGs are also coming up here in about 4 weeks, not quite. So on June 12th, we will be taking our ELA EOG. On June 13th, we'll be taking our math EOG. So if your children are healthy, please make sure they get sent to school those days. It'll be very important we get as many kids tested as possible. All right, in Math 6 Plus next week, we just started our last 7th grade unit of the year. This is another rational numbers unit, just like Unit 7. We're going to be focusing more on multiplying, dividing, and doing some algebra with rational numbers, which is going to basically be our negative and positive numbers with fractions, decimals, all that fun stuff. In Math 6 next week, we're going to continue our data unit and statistics, data and statistics. We started talking real briefly about histograms this afternoon. We will continue to talk about those next week, move on a little bit about mean and median as well as range, and then we will talk about box plots next week. And then the following week, we will wrap that unit up with our study guide and quiz. All right, have a great weekend. Here is Mr. Hutchinson with ELA and social studies.
All right, friends, let's talk real quickly about language arts. Mr. Hagedorn, will you hand me that? Sorry, I had the workbook ready to go and I forgot it over there. So let's talk about language arts first and foremost. We continue to read Frightful's Mountain. We read chapter 11 today in class, did some work around that. So we're about halfway, a little bit more than halfway through the book. We'll continue talking about Frightful's Mountain. At the beginning of next week, Monday and Tuesday, we're going to do a redo of our mid-unit assessment. The first time we did it with the reading that the kids did and the work that they did, we felt was more of a practice. And so now we're going to give them more of a graded assignment with a new reading and video to watch. And then they're going to be looking for claims and evidence through that. And so we'll do that on Monday. And then we're going to have our Unit 1 assessment for the end unit on Tuesday, and then end our first unit and dive on Wednesday right into our second unit of this, which is going to have the students using their workbook to dig through some lessons and readings that deal with DDT, positive and negative effects of DDT, and they'll be looking at multiple resources, multiple charts and graphs and reading and pulling information out of these multiple places so that they can then decide if it is a credible source, if it is a source that makes sense to them, and what they can find out about the claims that the author is giving them. So that's what we're going to be doing through the rest of that week, next week in our language arts class. In our social studies class, we are going to be ending our unit on the decline of civilizations. We started the last bit of it today called The Fall of Rome, which is kind of the big famous one when we talk about declines of civilizations. We'll continue that on Monday, possibly into Tuesday, depending on how far we get on Monday. Just finishing up the fall of Rome, and then we'll roll right into the Middle Ages, which makes pretty good sense because the fall of Rome is the beginning of the Middle Ages. We'll talk a little bit about the Middle Ages, not a ton because we've already talked about the Middle Ages, even in language arts we did. We'll spend most of the rest of the year talking about the Renaissance, the time that comes after the Middle Ages, and the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation, as the Catholic Church starts to split and starts to have different branches of Christianity going, what that's all about. So that's what we'll be doing the rest of our school year, all the way right up into the end, which is nice because that leads right into 7th grade where they pick up right with the age of exploration and the imperialism and all of those kinds of revolutionary times that come right after that. So if you have any questions, any concerns, anything that you need help, let us know. If not, have a lovely weekend and we'll see you next week.